You'll have to take it from here. Magante!
Hello once again, my chickadees. Game & Chick is back once again with another review. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to Square-Enix for providing me with a review copy of the game to make this review possible. Thank you very much. So now with that having been said, time to start the journey. Infinity Strash is the latest spin-off adventure game in the Dragon Quest franchise that is developed and published by Square-Enix. With the Dragon Quest series becoming even bigger than it's been in years, with titles like Dragon Quest XI and Dragon Quest Treasures, Square-Enix now decides to add another spin-off to its library with Infinity Strash, a game based off of its anime counterpart. But was it a wise decision to focus on this particular spin-off, or should they have gone a different route? Only one way to find out, so let's go! Story. On an isolated island in the southern seas, a boy named Dai lives among monsters, yearning to become a hero himself someday. However, everything changes when the Dark Lord is revived. With a new crisis facing the world, Dai makes a promise to his mentor, encounters new friends, and slowly learns about his own inescapable fate. This is the beginning of Dai's adventure and his quest to become a true hero. Gameplay. Dragon Quest is one of those RPG franchises that constantly stands the test of time throughout its generations, alongside other juggernaut IPs like Final Fantasy, and it continues to remain integral to the industry and influential to newer experiences on the market for the RPG genre. Through the years, Dragon Quest has managed to rack in 11 mainline games, the 12th currently in development, and a plethora of spin-offs that range from cute and fun with Dragon Quest Treasures to, oh my god, what were they thinking with the stuff that was added in Fortune Street? My point here being is that Dragon Quest has a long and diverse history, and that history, mainly of Dai, which dates back to 1991 with the manga, now continues that adaptation of the anime in the brand new game Infinity Strash Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. Good lord, that is such a long name. Any longer, and that's not going to fit on a box of art, or it will end up like the Game of the Year stickers on the cover of the Batman games. Long name aside, is this game actually worth it though? With upcoming titles like Ninja Storm Connections being buried by everyone and anyone for the lackluster effort they're portraying, or will it lean more positive like the free-to-play My Hero game? Which side of the spectrum does it sit on? The kind that both annoys me and intrigues me. One minute I'm like, alright, let's go, fighting time! But then for the next 20 minutes, I'm stuck falling asleep in my chair and forgetting there's an actual game here to be played. Confused? Well, don't worry, Pop didn't just cast a mage spell on you. You're good. I'll just have to explain why I have that slight annoyance towards the title, even though overall the quality is very well done. Infinity Strash drops you into the story of the game as you see the battle rage on between the two Dragon Knights, Dai and Baron. It's got all the makings of the typical shonen trope, Baron being the battle-hardened foe with immeasurable power, and Dai, who's got tons of courage and never-give-up attitude, being the weaker of the two but refusing to quit. The fight, however, doesn't last long, for Baron doesn't want to kill Dai, merely just get him out of his way. So he unleashes an attack that erases all of the memories Dai has accumulated over the years, and this sets up the main story of the game, which is, a long fetch quest to retrieve the lost memories of your past. So, in a nutshell, you're overcoming and battling against amnesia, and I assume in Infinity Strash 2 we'll be fighting Alzheimer's next, right? All jokes aside, yeah, it's not very original, like at all, but it's an anime adaptation and shonen, so at least it's not Curry of Life all over again like Naruto, right?
This is just so delectable. A myriad of flavors. The spices are blended to perfection. Plus, whatever these little heart chokes are, they are amazing.
Be thankful. The character that drives the story forward in this title, and the main one usable at the start of the journey, is Dai, who eventually forms alliances and friendships with characters like Pop, who Dai trained with under the guidance of their master Yvonne, and Man, who is also a former student under the same master at one point. Much like other RPGs on the market, in certain situations, such as temple trials for side quests, or even specific main story missions for the game's combat, you will be able to select and assemble a party of your choosing, which consists of up to 4 allies. That is, when you're actually getting to play the dang game, considering most of the time you're watching cutscenes overplaying the actual game, with some chapters having 21 playable missions, and of that 21 playable missions, 14 of them end up being 3 to 4 minute long cutscenes. While the cutscenes were great, extremely well done and acted, and definitely gets you in the mood to watch the anime, I was just left wondering, when am I actually going to get to play the freaking game already? It got me to the point of trying not to harness my inner anger to go on a rampage like Fang from Primal. I kept it together though, so the world was spared. At its core, the game follows the basics of what everyone is used to. You get a world map that serves as a general hub for selecting missions, chapters, side quests, access to play previous stages and chapters, etc. It's basic, but easily recognizable by their icons. For example, Blue Cross Swords means main missions that involve a physical fighting mission that range from a Muso-style playstyle that has you defeat all enemies in the area designated to you, or pits you one-on-one against an enemy villain of that chapter. Meanwhile, a book represents a 4-minute long cutscene that catches you up on the story taking place using a storybook and manga style of anime animation with voiceovers. Finally, you have red flag icons, which act as your side quest to partake in before or after a story mission that mostly involves you beating a specific amount of enemies in order to raise your level. Yeah, I know, not very substantial. Heck, it feels like there's more variety in gameplay in Plumbers Don't Wear Ties that involves you making decisions on whether to beat up your creep boss, have a weird montage of getting ready to go about your day, having your mom call you and nag you about getting a girlfriend at 40 years old, all in good ol' FMV quality.
Listen to me, it's time you got married. You need children, I need grandchildren, I need my only child to bear fruit. And in my lifetime, don't you love your mother?
Ma, just drop it, okay?
No, I won't. Amy's perfect for you. Poor thing's just waiting for you, John.
She's not my type.
And what is your type? Some biker slut?
Okay, maybe Infinity Strash's variety isn't that bad, but still, there's not much bark to this game's bite, and at least it's feeling like a meal that's undercooked. But all is not lost, as to get away from some of the tedium of the main story being cutscene heavy, you have Temple of Recollection mode, which is a roguelite dungeon that starts your characters off at level 1 and increases your level further as you make it through various rooms of bad guys, going through specific doors that give you buffs of magic, HP, or allows you to buy items to use. In a nutshell, it operates as a gauntlet of matches that only increases in difficulty the further you get. It's basically like Final 14's version of Palace of the Dead, but here it allows you to enhance bonds for equipable stat cards for main game use and increase character spells and their abilities. I went into this mode extremely unprepared and wiped on the first floor of the first stage. Literally was running around with 5 HP like a chicken without a head. I'm so garbage. Unlike normal RPGs with a typical equipment management system, Infinity Strash makes your gear end up basically just being a skin with no stat increase, and instead forces those RPG stat managements onto your attacks, such as the coup de grace attack, which acts as your special attack when power gauge is filled, and an additional 3 spells and abilities to hotbar to your menu for use throughout battle, which you can upgrade using your gained money or items you come across by going to the Temple of Recollection and using your materials to raise each attack power. The same goes for your memory bonds as well, which, when one of your characters in the story or objective meets specific milestones or levels, will obtain new slots to unlock in order to equip items and cards known as bonds. These bonds are equipable to any character as long as they meet the required level in order to use them, and every individual card offers new attributes and stat increases for HP, attack power, magic defense, etc. This in turn feels like a very streamlined approach to traditional equipment management replacement. Good thing the enemy isn't Dr. Venkman, otherwise he would know all the cards you have in your possession and zap you for it. So card-based system for bonds and equipment, special attack, and 3 specific abilities for each character, like Dai using Zappa Lightning, Mam using healing abilities, Pop using powerful magic spells, all of which are upgradable, Muso fighting versus hordes of enemies, or 1 versus 1 fighting, side quests, and Tower of Recollection for other content to keep you occupied. Is that it? Well, kind of. I mean, other than my negatives. Overall, the game is very polished and well put together, but sadly, there's just a bit of hiccup period for the game, even during the height of its great moments. Dislikes. Oh man, where do I start? As stated earlier, Infinity Strash is a retelling of the anime story, and sadly to a degree, this is where it hurts the actual game itself overall. While the nuance of interactive gameplay segments intertwined with cutscenes sounds good on paper, in the vein of games like Ninja Storm, here it doesn't work so well. With the cutscenes predominantly making use of static images that have dialogue over it, you feel like you should be watching the actual anime itself rather than playing a game where the cutscenes themselves completely undermine and overshadow the actual gameplay of, a video game. The game tries to be two things at once, but ends up being on the floor and making a mess of its balancing. Think of Adam Sandler just putting newspaper over anything that spills, and that's Infinity Strash with its gameplay to cutscene ratio. The first couple of chapters in this roughly 7 to 8 hour journey aren't too bad, and you might even find enjoyment in it. But as soon as you hit chapter 3 and beyond, you can get like 4 storybook cutscenes in a row, and in total of a 21 level chapter, you can have potentially 14 of those being cutscenes. No matter how you slice it, Britney Spears, that is not a good balance at all. It's definitely a head scratcher, and midway into chapter 5, I just wanted to literally skip everything just to get to the gameplay segments and have more fun, but then those gameplay missions themselves lasted like 2 minutes before another 10 minutes of cutscene. It's like I'm in Red Dragon and Square-Enix is like, this is the adventure of Die! Do you see? If you know, you know. Overall, at the end of the day, Infinity Strash is not a bad game. It's actually very well made, smooth, looks great, voice acting is good, and it genuinely makes you want to watch the anime itself. However, with a lack of variety in its combat, from main story to side missions, balancing with cutscene to gameplay segment being way off, I feel completely hurts this title overall and what it was attempting to do. Even though changing difficulty level to adventurer for raising difficulty to boss fights, it still can't make up for its shortcomings, especially when it feels like 4 of the game's 7 hours of gameplay is the cutscenes themselves. Square-Enix here tried to take us on a ride with an ambitious journey by mixing anime narrative and supergluing it in with a video game format, but it ultimately falls short in its overall execution, even when it delivers moment-to-moment fun and enjoyment. And because of this, at its current $60 price tag, I cannot recommend this title at its full retail price. It's best to wait for a bit, maybe for a price of around...
I need about $3.50.
Huh? No. The price I feel it would be worth is about $25 to $30 for what this game offers. I feel that's fair. So with all that having been said, my verdict is clear. Game & Chick says wait.
Upon the altar of freedom, Abraham Lincoln. Yours very sincerely and respectfully,
What was that?
George C.
Could be
Marshall,
dying,
General,
man.
Chief of Staff.
It's not my concern. Not anymore. It's not my business whether they live or die.
You're still here? I'm surprised.
Wait, you're that mage from the fake heroes party, aren't you?
Hey everyone, thanks for watching!